What's good? I'm back. Yours truly, the one and only Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett Podcast, aka Triple P, aka the Common Sense Podcast, your source for music, sports, politics, world events, and much, much more. Today I'm going to react to Andrew Schulz reaction to the Brittney Griner prisoner swap, saying USA lost the deal. And of course, we did. But before we get into that, let's give you a word from promopalace.biz.
Are you a musician looking for music marketing and promotion? Then look no further than Promo Palace LLC, your one-stop shop for all music promotion services. Services include Spotify playlist pitching, YouTube video promotion, record pool promotion, blog placements, radio airplay promotion, SoundCloud promotion, and much more. With over 2,000 customers and over 10 years of experience in online promotion, Promo Palace LLC is a company you can trust. For more info, please go to promopalace.biz. See you there.
You heard the beautiful lady. If you need online marketing promotions, please go to promopalace.biz, your one-stop shop where you can promote your music, product, brand, or service. All right, let's get into it. Andrew Schulz and the guys talking about Brittney Griner, prisoner swap, and how USA lost the deal. Well, actually, we look like a bunch of clowns.
And y'all.
Okay.
Yep.
Can we talk about
Yes.
this?
What do you think about Brittney Grinders?
Yo, Brittney
Say her name
Griner.
right, correct.
I've been wondering why this shit is bothering me a little bit.
Okay, can you explain what happened?
Well, Brittney Griner was arrested in Russia because she brought a vape pen that I guess had cannabis oil in it. Now, was she arrested for that, or was she arrested because Russia used her as a political pawn?
Because they're about to invade Ukraine.
Yeah, I think we know why.
Yes.
Okay. I imagine that she's, snuck. Yes, it's illegal, but I imagine she snuck this vape pen in many times before. She goes there, she plays, I think, over the summers. I forget what the WNBA season, but like a lot of female basketball players, they go to Russia and they play on these Russian teams. And these oligarchs in Russia prop up these female basketball teams in Russia. It doesn't matter, whatever. So she gets arrested. She's there for months, I think. And,
Let me stop for a second. Whether she was a political pawn, if what he said is true, she just totally ignored their laws. She thinks she's above everybody's laws. She's anti-American. She thinks she's above the laws in America. She thinks she's above laws in Russia. She ain't gonna be, if she goes play in some other foreign country on the off season, that shit ain't gonna fly over there either. Japan is the same way as Russia when it comes to that weed shit. We got to stop acting like every country on the planet is a democracy like America, that everybody is looking at weed the way we're looking at it. And to be honest with you, we still haven't even legalized it nationally. So we need to pump the brakes and stop being some fucking hypocrites on this shit. Like the shit is legal. Like anybody can smoke anywhere in every fucking state in every city in America. No, man. It's still illegal in, I think, half of the fucking country here.
what the U.S. and Russia do is a prisoner swap for basically Brittney Griner for the Lord of War. The Lord of War, you've seen Nicholas.
The Lord of War.
The Merchant of the Lord of War was the movie. He's known as the Merchant of Death. And this is a guy who's basically sold weapons around the world, destabilized tons of fucking African countries. Now, I'm not acting like we're fucking honest in this and we're scot-free in this. I imagine we being the United States of America, have also courted this guy and used his specific skill set to help us in certain situations. So I don't know if we're like the best. That being said, we definitely arrested him for some reason, and we have him locked up. So we trade him for Griner, and people are upset. They're like, that doesn't really seem like a fair trade. I think this is the reason why it's a little bit bothersome. They've also put in this other American who was being held there for months. There's a guy who has held them on charges of espionage. It was a ex-Marine. I don't know if you're ever ex, but it's a Paul Whelan, I believe. And so the question everybody's asking is, why are you trying to get Brittney Griner out, who knowingly broke the law?
Knowingly.
Should be trying to get this alleged American spy. He just says he's just an American there who was doing his duty for country. Now, I don't know what the rules are with spies when they get caught, what you do with them, I don't know, et cetera. But I think the issue with me is it seems like they made the trade for only Brittney for political points. It seems like it's a little bit of like
trying to get votes.
A little bit of like a virtue
trying
signal.
Trying to get favor with voters.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
And, there's a Democratic president. Who are the constituents that he's going to support? He's going to support gay, minority, women. And it's like, oh, I check off 3 boxes. Let me get that person back. Who does he not have to care as much about? White, male, Marine.
White, male, I ain't Marine, but straight. He forgot to throw in straight, white, male, and Marine.
Who would probably be voting conservative anyway. So I think there's a little part of me, and I need to know more about the story, but I don't.
And you know what? If that's how it was, if that's their thinking, this is some complete bullshit that just because the guy doesn't in line with their political views, they don't have to go after and try to help him.
Don't like the idea that we're going to trade this merchant of death, a guy who's responsible for probably tens of thousands of deaths and like destabilization around the world, which we're also responsible for. I'm not saying we're innocent, but it doesn't exactly feel like a fair trade. And if you're doing it just to get like a PC pat on the back, it feels a little gross, right?
Yeah.
When that same administration could be letting out all the weed offenders, the nonviolent drug offenders that are in prison right now in the United States. It could be letting every single one of them out right now. And it seems to be perfectly okay with them continuing to be in jail.
I'm glad he said that. If Biden really, really cared about police reform, prison reform, if Democrats really cared about police reform, prison reform, they would have nationalized legalization of marijuana. Like I've said this 1 trillion times. The first step to police reform and prison reform is legalizing marijuana across the board on a national scale. And that way, all right, so what happens is you free all the people that's locked up with violent criminals for just selling weed, because people selling weed are not violent criminals. So you let them out. You basically eradicate any records they had of getting locked up. You erase it. Any kind of felonies you gave them for weed or whatnot, you get rid of that. Any misdemeanors, any record. It should be automatically erased. They should be released. They should have been locked up with violent criminals in the first place. And then on the police side, you don't got police when they pull somebody over. Oh, I smell weed in the car. Now I gotta go on this full-scale search for things, for paraphernalia, for guns. And that's the thing. They automatically assume a lot of times just because you got drugs that you got guns. And weed shouldn't be classified as a drug anyways, because it's a plant that grows in the ground. It's not like cocaine, which is cocaine, yes, starts from a plant, but it's processed with chemicals and things of that nature, and whatnot. Weed just is a plant. Buds grow, you pick them, you bag them. It's that simple process. And yes, there's people that probably spray chemicals on their weed when they grow it and whatnot, but we don't know that they're selling it on a large scale or whatnot. So then you won't have police, assuming that just because you smoke weed that you got guns and other drugs and you're doing all types of illegal things and whatnot. Because just because somebody smokes weed doesn't mean that they're a full-on criminal, that they're a full-fledged criminal, So, yeah, Biden and Democrats, they don't really care about police reform and prison reform any more than the Republicans do at this point. Because if they did, then they would legalize marijuana nationally. You know what I'm saying? And then because we're still kind of hypocrites to sit there and say, oh, Brittney Griner was wrongfully detained. But if somebody was to fly into Russia, from Russia to America with illegal substances, we would have did the same thing to them. we would have locked them up and detained them as well. So this is horse shit. It's bullshit. It's a double standard. It's hypocrisy. And let's let the great Andrew Schulz keep it moving.
In some fairness, I do think they're trying to work on that. I do think. But
I disagree
agree with
with
But what's to work on? You could just do it.
Thank you.
Ain't
I
no
think
work.
in the states' rights thing.
Yeah, you can't just like flip a switch and just
Well,
let out
you could do
everyone.
it federally. You can't do it
Yeah, you
statewide.
can.
But you
He's
could
right.
put every
Federal
single person who's
legalization.
been convicted of a federal crime that has to do with drugs that are nonviolent, at bare minimum, just weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could immediately
Especially
remove
'cause-
them from federal prison right now. Yes or no, right?
Yes, and he did pass something, but it was a very small thing. It was like a non-violent, but also like I forgot the.
We talked about it on Idiots. I forget
exactly.
exactly what it was, but it wasn't exactly.
Can he do that on his own, or does he need the Senate?
No,
and
he
the
could do
House?
it on his own. He could do it, yeah.
But he
it's
don't
valid,
want
man.
to. He don't want
It
to.
just really, it's tough because like if you have a major drug dealer, their cases usually aren't just, oh, I just traffic drugs. You know, so
It's like getting Al Capone for tax evasion. It's like you're
Yeah.
really getting him for this other shit, but the only thing you can get him for is the tax.
Look, I know this Al Cat's ex-cop, but once again, cats who just sell weed aren't major drug dealers. Major drug dealers are coke dealers, heroin dealers, pill dealers, fentanyl dealers. Like, we got to stop classifying weed as this major drug. To be honest with you, part of the reason why they don't want to legalize it across the board is that pharmaceutical companies are probably paying these politicians to vote against it because they want to sell more pills and the drugs that they're selling. And if a state like North Carolina, it's probably pharmaceuticals and probably the tobacco companies definitely trying to pay politicians to vote against it because cigarettes stand to lose a lot of money because why the hell would you smoke cigarettes if weed was legal? I mean, that would make no sense to me if I see anybody smoking cigarettes when weed is legal. I would think you're a complete jackass and a moron. You're just totally addicted to nicotine. Let's keep it moving.
Yes.
So I feel that.
So it's like if you just do this blanket thing of like, oh, just nonviolent weed shit, it's like, this motherfucker, we know he killed a bunch of people, but we can't charge him on that.
Exactly.
And now you just let all
Or
the
he
people
called
out.
for the murders of it,
Yeah,
which is
so-
totally.
Well, no, once again, Al is overstepping. No weed dealers are calling for people to get killed like that. Nobody's killing nobody like that over weed. They'll rob you over weed, but they're not just killing and executing. Like, that's the thing. Like, he acts like what he's talking about is like some narco shit. And the narcos don't even really care about weed. All they care about is coke, heroin, X, fentanyl. They don't care about weed no more. They've been not cared about weed for a long time. There's more money in coke and fentanyl and heroin and all these other things. So he's overselling it. Like no weed dealer is out here like, yeah, go kill this guy, go kill that guy, go kill this guy. No, it's not that serious. And I'm not saying there ain't one or two, but it's not going across the board where there's a shit ton of weed dealers having people killed. He's an ex-cop and he knows better than that.
Totally understandable as well. I like everything.
It's
These
tough.
things are way more
Yeah.
nuanced. Yeah.
I just want to give a little pushback. I think it's a combination of both. I do think it's political. I also do think they cave to the pressure. Like, did any of us know Whalen was locked up in Russia? No. So nobody's tweeting, nobody's commenting, but when Brittney got locked up, everybody's tweeting, everybody's saying something.
That's the
he
other thing.
felt
It's
the
like,
pressure.
Every conservative that's upset about it, why weren't you talking about
That's what I'm saying.
him the way that everybody else is talking about Brittney Griner?
Yeah.
Like, if y'all, now granted, Brittney Griner.
Why, Andrew? Because what did your boy just said? Nobody knew. Yes, there probably was some conservatives that knew. And there was Democrats that probably knew. But it wasn't like we knew on a large scale. And yes, Brittney getting locked up brought more light to that. But it was really what it was is people probably started looking more into this. People probably started really knowing what was going on a larger scale. Like mainstream media wasn't. That's the thing. If mainstream media is not reporting it, nobody really knows from a large scale. Nobody knows. It's hidden.
There's a more famous person than him, sure, but make him famous. You have platforms, you got blogs, you got Twitter. Like every politician that's complaining that Brittney was taken out instead of him, I need to look at your tweets and see if you once tweet about that motherfucker.
Show some receipts.
Exactly. Yeah. Or are you using Waylon as a way to score points against the Democrats?
Yeah.
Now you're using this motherfucker who's in jail, this so-called hero. You're using a hero.
Yes.
So that's foul too. But if you were one of those people that have been trying to get him out for years, and to know, or I guess he's been locked up for a little while.
Yeah.
So
I think it's like close to 10 years.
He's been there?
I think so.
Oh, I thought
I gotta double check.
it was a 6-year sentence or something.
Oh,
I'm
really?
not sure.
I'll check.
But like, I totally understand your frustration if you've just been clamoring about this nonstop, and then to no avail.
But the fact that none of us have heard about him, I don't think too many people were.
My issue wasn't with Paul Whelan as much, because to me it's like, all right, they got a spy, we got a spy, or we're not a spy, but like a criminal.
Yeah.
To me, the issue is we're letting out this guy who's like incredibly dangerous, just based on his history. And if you want to just talk about like from a racial standpoint, this guy is responsible for the death of, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of black kids in Africa.
Oh yeah.
And
No, literally what he did, he would arm the child soldiers.
yeah.
Guys, okay, now this is not going to be a politically correct answer, but he was a businessman. People are asking, hey, I want guns. He's not the ones putting the guns in the kids' hands. He's making the deal with the guy who's putting the guns in the kids' hands.
I would step back, because it's what they were doing is arming these militias in an effort to destabilize regions that had resources that they want to make easier to extract.
Yeah, but he just cared about the money at the end of the day. That's why he got caught, because he made a deal that sounded like a really good deal with a DEA agent just for the money. He didn't give a fuck who he was selling to.
No, I'm not saying that his interest was hurting them, but he knew that they were being hurt.
And
Yeah,
I
but he's
think
just a businessman who doesn't care.
I think he owned the shipping companies too.
Yeah, but McDonald's kills or gives people high blood pressure and
All right, so Al's right. The Merchant of Death, Florida Wars, the movie was. It was really all about money for him. He didn't, he's not like these businesses going woke nowadays. He didn't choose sides. But the thing is the law doesn't see it that way. The law finds everybody on down the line guilty and complicit. From the guy that sold the gun to the guy that put the gun in somebody's hands to the kids that shot it, and we know in like over there in Africa, they take the kids and turn them into soldiers at an early age. It's been going on forever. It happens in Afghanistan and Arab countries as well, where they go to the villages and take the kids and basically try to force them into their way of life, Yeah, man, I think I've heard enough. We definitely got screwed. We traded a basketball player that could barely dunk at 6'9", that isn't doing nothing to. We traded an anti-American for an American. A person who we traded a person who hates America, for a warlord. Like, we're more concerned with anti-Americans, people who hate America and don't even respect American laws, more or less Russian laws. And we got to forget, we fail to realize that she flew from America. Did she fly straight into Russia? Because if she flew into another country before she went into Russia, she broke their laws as well. I'm pretty sure every country on the planet does not allow cannabis oil cartridges to be flown in from other countries. I'm pretty sure every country that is illegal. But, right now, but that's Democrats for you. It's like what they did in San Francisco or whatnot. This little law where they passed that you could steal less than $1,000 worth of stuff and just get a little misdemeanor, you know. Let's enable and endorse the criminals to, you know, commit crimes and just slap them on the wrist. So what? You know? Yeah, it's batshit crazy. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Paul Pickett Podcast. And I'm out.